Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. This is Freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Reverend Lenise Dazzel-Harris. I met Lenise recently in the new Clubhouse app, and she's a spiritual life coach helping women feel emotionally fulfilled without a romantic relationship, more money, or religion. When Lenise isn't coaching, she enjoys her 2 young children and husband in New York City. And she's recently just finished her 6-week Focus Switch Challenge, which helps women get clear, confident, and consistent in their truth. I'm really excited to be interviewing Lenise. As I say, we connected on Clubhouse. We really felt we had that synergy, and she's got an amazing story to share. So I'm really pleased I'm interviewing you, Lenise. Thank you ever so much for giving me your time.
My pleasure. Happy to be here with you and your listeners.
Okay, well, it's great. Everybody that I've been interviewing recently has all been from Clubhouse. So literally everybody that's listening to all of these episodes is like, oh, she's met on Clubhouse,
Yeah.
I'm just loving all the different connections that I've made recently on the Clubhouse app. I think it's just been great to be able to connect with people globally, really. So I know we met in one of the rooms not so long ago. And with the podcast that I'm doing, it's called Your Freedom Podcast, and I have 3 pillars: love, money, and mind. So it's freedom in love, which is all around self-care, self-love. Freedom in money, because financial freedom helps us gel it all together, really, because if we're financially pressured, it gives us a bit of imbalance. And then freedom in mind, which mindset, sometimes I don't really like calling mindset, because that again encompasses everything, you know, it can go deeper than that. So, but those 3 things, love, money, and mind, have helped me get equilibrium really in my life. So I know from when we last spoke, you're doing a lot around, you shared some of your story, and I think that's really important to share with some of our listeners. So I was going to ask you, I know you're doing your spiritual clarity coaching, and I know you've just recently you were saying you'd come off your final week. Was that a kind of 4-week or 6-week course? Was that?
That was a 6-week Focus Switch Challenge.
Brilliant.
That's what I call it. But we definitely go over freedom of love, freedom in mind, freedom in money over those 6 weeks. So totally aligned with everything that you're saying. And at the end of it, I help women feel emotionally fulfilled without a romantic relationship, more money, or religion.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good. So aligned, isn't it? So aligned. And this is how I feel so connected recently, because I just keep attracting different people that just have that synergy. I think we're all trying to do very similar things, or trying to put similar things out, or that good we're putting out into the world.
Right.
But we all have our slightly different ways of doing that, which is quite nice, which makes it unique, doesn't it?
Exactly.
To us. So it's great to connect with you. And I just wanted you to share how you came about to be doing what you're doing today, because I know you're putting some good out there. But how did it all come about?
Oh, Lord, good question. How did it all come about? You know, with my new awareness, I realized that it's been coming about the whole time, like, you know, from birth. Honestly, like I can look back at the story now and it all makes sense, right? So from growing up in Harlem and my grandmother taking me to her brethren church where they would sing these hymns with no music, you could hear a pin drop. And as a child, you're like, this is so boring, right? But those songs imprinted on my spirit. And so even to today, the way I connect with God through music, those songs come up randomly, and I know that there's a message in there for me. So I look at the lyrics, I sing it with feeling, define it for myself, and I can receive the message that God has been trying to get through to me. So it started from there, Harlem, growing up in the church with my grandmother, my mom trying to put me in pageants and putting me on stage and making, I was really nervous back then. I used to sweat from my underarms profusely on stage, but it was all preparing me to be a public speaker, which is a true desire of mine, right? That's one of my gifts. So all my life, I've always wanted to have this connection with God, right? Growing up in the church. And while the desire was there, it just wasn't happening for me, right? And when I got to college, I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to church and every week. And none of that happened. But one day, this was now well after college, I was driving down the FDR and I was singing love songs to myself. And through singing the love songs, it was like a marriage was happening, right? And now when I look at it, it was like my divine masculine singing to my divine feminine, saying all the things to me that I wished, someone outside of me was saying. And as I was singing and kept singing and just feeling it more, my life, like situations that caused me self-doubt or hurt or pain and disappointment was coming up. And I was singing and I started to forgive myself. And I started to have gratitude for the lessons and the learning. And I started to accept everything that I am. And my mind, everything, my heart exploded. And this focus switch, which I called like a spiritual awakening, but a focus switch happened for me in that moment. At that point, I was crying so happy, so much happy tears. I don't even know who was driving the car on this highway, okay? It was amazing. And I just felt that freedom. I felt it. And I was just so joyful and excited and optimistic about the future. And I'm like, wow, my self-love journey kind of took off from there. Realizing that everything was in me. And as I continue to do the work and understand my powers and how to manifest, I said, I got to get this out. I got to share this with the ladies. We can actually feel rich, feel peace, feel abundance, feel joy without changing the circumstances, right? Without moving to a new place, without having a lover, without being in church every week. And I'm like, this, I got to share.
I do think isn't it funny how as humans, we always want this like physical, what's the word, like connection with something, when actually, like you say, we've got everything that we already need. Like the physical thing of going to a church or moving to a different home, or there's always this physical element, isn't there, when actually it's about, I suppose everyone has that kind of wake-up call at some point. And it's different for everybody, isn't it? But also it's also seeing, like you say, that you've got everything that you need already.
Not seeking things outside of yourself to fulfill you, but feeling fulfilled without the thing, and then it's attracted to you. Like that's really the basis of how to manifest.
Exactly.
Attracting, magnetizing it to you instead of seeking, finding it outside of you, aligning with the vibration, right? And so that's what I teach the women, how to crown yourself, how to curate your own energy, regardless of what the situation is giving, because you are aligned with your truth and you have the tools to keep yourself grounded, even when it seems messy and crazy and, So it's been a joy really learning and teaching women. And I actually just had my first male client who is identifying and finding his divine feminine within.
Nice.
Yes. So that's been also fun and eye-opening that, while I focus on the women, because I understand that women control the energy of the home, that there's some men who want to tap in as well and having space for them. So it's been an exciting, rewarding, hard sometimes journey, right? Because we're unlearning so many things from society and conditioning.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then teaching ourselves again, like being our own teachers, being our own healers. So there's a lot. It sounds easy and joyful, but there is some coming done and messy too.
So for people that might be listening to this that could be struggling right now with kind of whatever they're struggling with, because a lot of the stuff that, like, basically my journey had started with a horrendous marriage that I left, you know, with leaving my abuser like 5 or 6 years ago. And this was kind of why I put this podcast together. And I've interviewed lots of different people who shared different struggles. And I often think when we're talking about, sometimes when you're stuck and you're in that darkness, because this is why I put this podcast together, to help people get out of that or support them. It's not going to happen overnight, but support them be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I know you touched on it that, you know, it's society, isn't it, a lot of the time? And I call it Fred in the head, that kind of prevents us moving forward, because we always have this battle, especially like how we were brought up, what society is saying. We see all these material things in our journey. And actually, a lot of people that I know that have gone for those material things, and I did in the past, that isn't what brings us happiness. It's what we think brings us happiness, but actually it doesn't. It's actually loving ourselves a lot of the time and understanding ourselves more and being true to ourselves, really, and kind of loving our flaws, as it were, or our weaknesses. But actually they're not weaknesses, because they all make us, don't they? It's all part of us. Just we see it as that. So for people who could be listening to this thinking, oh, it's so great to hear you two talking, and you know, you're both like sounding like you're in a dream, you're on a high, but they're struggling right now, what do you think is the first step that can help them discover who they really are?
Forgive yourself. You did the best you could with what you knew. Now you know more. Look at the lessons, write down the lessons that you learned, right?
Yeah.
And then affirmations. And so we are retraining the mind. We're looking at the conversation within, right in the head. I've never heard that before, but I'm imagining when I hear that, we have these voices in our head, right? That tell us why something can't be done, reminding us why we can't trust people, reminding us of that hurt and that pain, and it holds us back, right?
Yeah.
But mother yourself. If you didn't have a mother that was kind and compassionate to you, be that for yourself. And when you hear those fears coming up, the self-doubt coming up, I hear you. Thank you for your concern. We're going to move forward with trust and faith, right? That everything is working out for our highest good. So it's really about changing the direction of the conversation, listening to affirmations to reprogram your mind so that you can have the tools when you start going into self-doubt to bring yourself back up. I am loved. I am light. I am prepared. Right? My past has prepared me for more. I can see the red signs and the red flags. I am wiser now. So your experiences are not to stop you, but to just teach you. So what was the lesson? And how can we take these lessons into our next experience for a better or more holistic experience? How can we be more aware this time, right? So wherever you are, I would say, look at what is this lesson, what is this moment trying to teach me? Put it on yourself. Don't place blame on anyone. Your power is in taking accountability, right? No one can make you do anything. How did I get myself into this situation? And what are the lessons so that I can take myself out of it into a new level of awareness? With love and compassion, because sometimes we say, this is why you can't trust men anymore. And we close ourselves off to love forever because out of fear and pain, right? But that's not the lesson with love. I didn't choose myself, maybe would be the lesson. I ignored the signs because I was desperate for love, and desperate energy does not discern. So going forward, I'm going to be more discerning and still put myself out there. Right. So that's
Yeah.
just an example.
Yeah, no, I really like that because I think affirmations have really helped me over the years. I've also got my own affirmation card deck now these days.
I love that. I love decks.
Yeah, it was. I decided to just do my own that goes with it because I've got a Facebook group that goes with the Freedom podcast, and it's called Your Freedom Project. So I created a journal because I like journaling and writing my thoughts down and things like that. And also I created it's just a 7-day card deck. It's not a big one. It's just like a little teaser, a little tester. But I think affirmations are really important to remind us really, because like I say, Fred in the head sometimes does get in the way. So yeah, I really, really appreciate that because I do think a lot of people listening to this could be thinking, this is why I put it together to help people who could be stuck. But thinking back when I was, because sometimes it's so easy when you come out of that to forget what you went through, even though you're so grateful for the journey, because I'm so grateful for that journey. If I hadn't been through those tough times, then it wouldn't have made me who I am today. And I'm really grateful for that, which I think sometimes some of my close friends think I'm a bit crazy saying that. And it's not to say that I was glad that I went through all that hurt, but by going through that journey, it's definitely made me a much better person, I feel.
Yes, I agree.
And I know when we first spoke, you were saying that you, on reflection, you were like the mean girl. That's how I remember our conversation. And I just wondered if you could share some of that story with our listeners, because I think that's something a lot of people can relate to as well, because when something is done to you, especially when you're younger, that's how you learn, don't you? And I see that sometimes in my boys, my 10-year-old, we're on Easter break from school at the moment, and he was all really excited the other day saying, Mum, I've got this girlfriend. And I was thinking, how can you have a girlfriend when we're at home? He'd been chatting to this girl from his class, and I'm always checking their phones because I get a bit paranoid about, strange people online and things like that. But he has his little group that he's chatting with, and he's like, I've got this girlfriend. And then within 24 hours, he was like, I haven't got this girlfriend anymore. And I was like, well, what went wrong? And he went, it was a joke. She was joking. And I told her that she really hurt me. And so then we had this whole conversation about, don't let that judge you going forward, because then that could make you a little bit mean to someone else and repeat that behaviour, when actually, when you've been hurt, be open to be hurt again in a way. Don't change you as a person just because somebody has hurt you, and also don't do that kind of behaviour back to somebody else because you think that's a culture of how you should be. Because I think sometimes children can be a little bit mean to each other. And it's all a little bit of an ego, isn't it? Everybody's insecure when you're a child. And there's all this lacking confidence, and then someone does something, and it was a really interesting conversation. And but when we spoke, I know you were talking, it was a similar kind of thing as a child, isn't it? When you were saying that you were the mean girl and where that came from. So I don't even know some of that.
Yes. So yeah, I was 9 years old and I moved to a new town, and everyone was interested in the new girl, and the old popular girl that was there, she was offended by that, right?
Insecure, basically.
She was insecure by that, and so she set up a fight. Her and her brothers, they wanted us to fight because she was angry. Now I'm 9. I've never had a fight in my life. I'm new. I just want to make friends. I'm totally confused by what's happening. But, he came up to me, the brother came up to me after school and is like, you're going to fight my sister after school. And I'm like, okay, and after school, and he said to me, Ann, this is a fair one. I didn't even know what that meant. I'd never been into a fight before. So I get to the corner after school. There's a huge crowd waiting for this fight to ensue. And my little sister, she was with me. She was 7 at the time. And she goes into the corner and starts praying. I don't know a 7-year-old that would start praying, but that speaks to who she is. And so I started to fight with this girl. And I realized, looking back, that was the first moment that someone tried to dim my light and succeeded.
Yeah.
Because after that, then I became this mean girl, right? In a way to protect myself again, to guard myself. And so with this mean girl energy, then I started to attract mean girl energy type friends, right? Throughout high school, I was in a little clique and we were kind of bully-ish, right? And then in college, same thing. And as I started to heal that energy, I had to also let those friends go as well, because I realized that I attracted them with mean girl energy and they became a symbol of that energy. So as I moved on from that energy, I moved on from that friend group as well with love and compassion, because it's really not about them. It's about me growing forward and growing more into my light. So with that story, I realized that hurt people, right?
Yeah, which is what when I was speaking to my son, it was a similar thing. I was like, it then escalates, doesn't it? It kind of, and I think you learn that from a child. If you remember those incidents when you grow up, but at the time you don't see it, do you, when you're in it as a child?
Exactly. It's hard to see a pattern when you're in it. That's why sometimes it's good to have a life coach or a therapist or a community that gives wise counsel where you can notice your patterns and your cycles, right? When you look back at life, instead of looking at one situation and beating yourself up for it, try to notice the patterns, the cycles, what keeps coming up? What is the lesson that keeps coming? Because when you can see the lesson, then you can evolve. If you don't evolve, then you'll keep repeating until you get it.
Exactly.
So we can look back with gratitude because we're not focused on one particular story and, oh, we should have did this differently. We could have, we should have, but what's the lesson? What's the pattern and how can I rise above it? Take that with me into my next season, because the universe is going to give you opportunities to grow. Right? Exactly. That's what triggers are, really. Instead of blaming someone, reclaim your power, take accountability, and get that lesson so you can move forward from the situation with more peace and joy because you got that gem, that nugget.
Yeah, definitely. So to let everybody know what it is you're doing, because I know you've got like a group and I know you've just finished your 6-week, what was that? I don't know the name for it.
Yeah, so I help women have a focus switch.
I love that, by the way. Yeah. Focus switch is so good.
Yeah, because really, your perspective creates your reality. So if you can just change the way you look at your situation, you can change your entire reality without leaving your location, without changing your job. It starts within first, and then the outer will begin to change, one day at a time. So I've been helping these women have a focus switch to see that they can be emotionally fulfilled without a romantic relationship, without more money, without religion, because everything they have is within. Using gratitude, you can realize how abundant you can align with abundance.
Definitely.
Just feeling grateful, right? Accepting yourself so that you can see your gifts, honor your gifts. See, we all have gifts and powers and talents and abilities, but we write them off looking at what someone else is doing. Yeah, we suppress them because we've been motivated through shame and guilt and fear. So we're not really being our full selves. We haven't been taught how to be authentic. We've been taught to just, show up how we think society wants us to look, what's acceptable, and everything else, we hide it away. We call it bad. We think we're going to hell. And so for me, helping the women to be free now, to experience heaven on earth now, so that they can start to manifest a new reality, new dreams, new visions. That's what it's been all about. And it's been so much fun and rewarding hearing their transformation. Like, you're still going to have stuff coming up, right? Triggers, experiences, but how are you handling them? Are you being who you say you are? Exactly. Are you being patient? Are you being kind and compassionate, regardless of what someone else is projecting onto you? Yeah. And so that's the work we've been doing. And I'm just really happy and excited for all of them, because nothing has changed in their life in terms of where they live or more money or anything, but they all feel more free. They feel peace. They feel joy. They feel abundance. So we all have that capability. Definitely. And that's what I love to share.
Yeah. So how do people find out about it? How can they get involved? If people are listening to you now thinking, wow, this sounds amazing. I want to know, I want to be more grateful. I want to be more abundant. How can I get involved in this?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram. We_create shop TV, my website, wecreateshop.com, and I'll put all the information out there.
Yeah, we'll put all the links in the comment section below.
Yes.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see it in the comment section. If you're watching it on iTunes, it'll be in the notes section. There is an area anyway on both of them. We'll put it in both of them. Because I noticed on your Instagram as well, you had all sorts of things, like you had like crystal merch as well.
Yes.
I presume that is just for the US though, is it? If you're based in the US.
I'm going to make sure I open it up to international shipping. What I've done, I love the citrine crystal. Do you use crystals?
I do, but I have this, I'm a little bit lazy, I'll have to admit, because I'm in this little club where every month I get sent a little box. It's like, it's my little treat that I spend on me, and I get crystals, different crystals in it. I think I got the wand one recently, and then there was a singing bowl in one of them, which was really, really lovely. Then I got a crystal ball in one of them.
Ooh, yes.
Then I sometimes get like incense sticks. And it's just like my little treat. It's just a little subscription thing that I'm addicted to now. I can't stop it, because what I love is a surprise what you get each time. It's a really good idea, actually. Really good idea. And you get candles, different things like that. So I kind of wait to see, and sometimes there's an affirmation card in it, sometimes there's not. There's all different things each month.
Yeah.
But I get different crystals in that. So I like the rose crystal.
Oh yeah, rose quartz.
Yeah.
I have one here too.
Oh, nice. That's a nice.
Yes.
Mine
I love.
Pretty little. That's huge.
I love rough crystals. I love them. So I have selenite here, and just even for beginners, if you're new to crystals, selenite connects you with the angelic realms for that clear communication, because I'm always receiving messages from the divine, and we all are. Yeah. But it's, are you open to receiving them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if you're seeing numbers, right? You see the same numbers everywhere, 333, 555, and they're there, but are you aware, or are you in your phone? Are you distracted? Do you just ignore it because you're not even aware that that's a message at all? So our ancestors, spirit guides, angels, they're all trying to send us messages to help us along this journey, to encourage us, to inspire us, to let us know, hey, you're on the right path. A lot of us are on the right path, but because we don't feel supported or we feel alone, we don't realize. And, the confirmation feels good, right? To receive those messages.
And a few months ago, I kept seeing 333 and then like 33, or I'd wake up in the middle of my sleep and it'd be 333.
Yes.
Which I know is, they do say between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning is a time to be, is it giving out? There's an energy thing around that time anyway, isn't there? In those early hours of the morning, of kind of putting our thoughts or desires and things that we want to manifest out. I just thought I was just like randomly waking up, but then every time it happened, I kept noticing that it was like 333, or I'd just wake up and I'd see it turn to 334, 34. I haven't seen some numbers for a while, but I think everything is around us. Like we were saying about nature and stuff, like our thoughts and like the downloads that we get, whether you're like open to all of these things or not. And I think it comes from being kind of like content and being open to that abundance, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, 333 is one of my special numbers. So for me, that's just,
doesn't it mean, I can't remember I did look it up, what the meaning was, wasn't it that you've got a guide, it's around about, I know a lot of them are around guidance, but this was around that, I think it was around guidance, can't remember exactly, you might be able to tell me.
yeah, for me, 333 means the road is open, is blessed, it's clear for you to move forward with. And if it's an idea, a vision, a goal that you have, that it is being supported and to keep moving forward with that goal.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, notice what you're thinking about or what you're doing when you do see the numbers, because it's speaking to that specifically. So if I see 555, I know big change is on the horizon, and just start thinking about how can I prepare myself? You know, do I need to surrender more in this time? Maybe relax more, just be prepared for change. Yeah. So you can look that up. I love Joanne Scribes. So if I see numbers, I'll type it in and then put Joanne Scribes, and her blog will pop up. She has so many, all the numbers I feel, and with the name.
I'm always looking up numbers, and I get all these different ones on Google. I never know which one to look for. So what was it? Joanne
Scribes. Yep. That's my number one. And then, you know, I like to call it intuitive Googling. So anything that your spirit is drawn to, even on Google, trust your intuition. There's a reason why you like that, right? So click on it, read it, see what resonates. Just getting into the habit of honoring the feelings more, the goosebumps that we get, the tingles, that all of these are signs from our body that we're going in the right direction, or to look into this further.
Definitely. I love that. So those big crystals, we buy those off you? I'd love those.
Soon I'll have these crystals available, but right now what I did was I had a huge citrine stone, and citrine attracts abundance and success and good prosperity. I used to wear it on my neck, but I was doing some volunteer work, and it's so important for us to give back in time and service when it comes to manifesting. So I was doing some volunteer work, and this young boy in the foster care system, just something about him resonated with my spirit, and my intuition was like, give him my citrine crystal. Now, this is my most prized possession, okay? I'm like, give him my crystal, what? But, you know, when you learn to trust and have faith and surrender to what's coming up within you, you follow the instruction.
Connection, isn't it? Sometimes you just have that connection where that connection feels so strong where you don't even question thoughts like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so important because God is talking through all of us, through us, to us, right? So when you're not used to following or listening into what's coming up, you're missing so many divine signs and instructions and guidance. And we seek it outside of ourselves from other people, and we get misled. Right. And we actually receive a lot of their fears and their experiences that may have nothing to do with us, but we internalize it as our own. So I encourage everyone to look within, get into a habit of not really seeking advice or other people's opinion, but saying, what feels good to me? Right. And so I followed the instruction to give away my most prized possession to this little kid who has no idea what I'm giving him. But I did. And a couple months later, you know, I was just missing it. And I was thinking, you know, what is my essence? And my essence is citrine. I am abundance. I'm the daughter of abundance, which is why I was so drawn and attracted to that crystal. So what I did was I just got an image of that citrine and I started to create with it. And I created this citrine lady. And so just with my intention and affirmation and essence of abundance, I created a digital crystal and I put it on a sweatshirt. And so that's the crystal merch. Say that again.
I said, nice. That's nice. I like
yes.
that. So that's the crystal merch, right?
That's the crystal merch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
And what I did the same for my rose quartz, for my selenite, and for my amethyst. So when I can't carry my crystals or I don't have them to wear in jewelry, I can throw on these sweatshirts and it still has that essence and that energy and that intention of unconditional love, of clarity, of connection to the divine, of abundance. So just a new way to wear your crystals.
Yeah,
so if you're interested in that.
That's a bit different. I've never heard like that before. So I like that. That creativity, that's really cool. I love that.
Yes, I'm so grateful for that too, because again, it came from giving away my most prized possession. I got something much more in return.
Yeah.
Right. This new way to wear my crystals, this new understanding of what my essence is. And when you understand your essence and your reason for being, then people can't take you off of that. They can't take that from you. So whatever people are spewing at you, you know, hey, I am love. And you just shed more love and light on the situation instead of internalizing other people's stuff, right? And allowing it to take you down.
And I think as women, it's sometimes hard to juggle all of it, isn't it? Because a lot of us are mums. I know not every woman is a mum, but as a mum, we tend to neglect ourselves a little bit because we give so much to our children. And it's important to do these things even if I think it's always important I diarise time for me. I'm a single parent, so time's a little bit more of a juggle. But I always make sure, even if it is just a little walk while the boys are at school, or like this week they've been off and we've all gone together. But or it's a bath at the end of an evening, and I put all my magnesium salts in there, and I get all my candles out. It feels really luxurious. That's like my time. It's really important to spend time on us. And I know when I sent you the invite for this interview, there was a few questions that we asked, and one of them was, what is your greatest achievement and challenge? And being a mum was one of your sort of greatest challenges or achievements. I can't remember which one. But probably both.
Both.
So I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that for mums that are listening, because I know you tend to focus a lot on women, on that whole juggle really of making sure that we don't neglect ourselves within that sort of loving ourselves or self-care really.
Yeah, for the moms listening, shout out to you, because I know you're wearing many, many hats. Yes, and we tend to put our children first out of fear because we don't want them to experience, certain things. What I had to realize as a mom was, one, balance is not 50-50, right? Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is that it goes, on the lips of children is the name of God.
Yeah.
And so the biggest challenge for me becoming a mother was honoring the responsibility, accepting the responsibility that I am the all in their world, right? And also finding, one, releasing the fears, all the fears that I have and the things that I want to shield them from, and just trusting more, praying more, right? And learning how to understand them instead of telling them what to do. Asking questions. And in terms of self-care, finding those little things, like not needing to run away from the task, but finding those things that bring me joy. Simple, like you said, your bath. I call them spiritual showers, right? Where I'll just stand in the shower and let the water run down to my crown chakra, those little moments of clarity. I wake up earlier than them. So I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning because they're up, they're early birds. So I wake up as early as possible so that I can have that quiet time to do, meditation, to work out, to do things that bring me joy. Even something as simple as drinking a cup of tea and honoring every sip, feeling the warmth going down into my body. So being mindful with the mundane task helps, bring that balance in so that my cup is full and I don't need a lot to fill it.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's good that you make sure that you got the time. I think whether it's first thing in the morning or last thing at night, it's important to kind of get some. It's just like you say, being mindful in that moment, whatever you're doing, whether it's drinking a peppermint tea, that I'm always having my peppermint tea, or it's having a bath or having a spiritual shower. I like that. Because I've been reading a lot about really, really cold showers that can really help with clarity and focus and things like that. I've just not been brave enough to have one yet. I like a warm. But
Same.
now it's getting a bit more summery here. I might be able to branch out and do a freezing cold shower. So yeah, really, really good to get your thoughts on that, because I think it's really important that we, even if it's just 15 minutes of time that we give ourselves, it's really important to give us those moments of clarity. And also when it does feel that, because I know your children are quite young, aren't they? And I remember when mine were young, they need us more in a physical sense, don't they? But you can actually throw yourself into doing some really fun stuff with them rather than begrudging that need that they have of you. You can actually just throw yourself into a bit of fun with it, because it's never going to go away. They can't turn that button off, can they? So it's changing our perception sometimes.
All the time, yes.
Yeah.
Bringing them into what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And like I said, making it fun, what brings you joy, and then you can include them in that. So for me, dancing actually helps me to connect with God, right? And so bringing them into my dance, and we can have fun, and they're learning something new, and we having, my son, he's pretty advanced, he's 4, but we have all kinds of conversation, and the things that he says, he teaches me too. Yeah, so a big part of being a mom was accepting the responsibility with joy. So even like we have to wash dishes and all these mundane tasks, how can you bring joy to it? So I'll turn my affirmations on to make, I call them affirmation dishes, making it intentional. And so now it's not something that I hate doing, but it's something I look forward to. Like, okay, sink full of dishes, let's go, So yes, mothers, make everything you do intentional.
Definitely. And everybody that I interview, I always ask them this one question, because it's the Freedom Podcast. And with you touching on the dancing, because I remember what you wrote as well for this. What does freedom mean to you, Lenise?
Yeah, freedom to me is connecting with God, the divine, your higher power, on your own terms, right? I grew up in fear of going to hell. And so that motivated me, I feel, to be good or do good for the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah, I get that.
And so now that I know that God is within my heart and I'm not seeking God outside of myself, I feel more free to be myself, to be authentic, to do things that brings me joy, because feeling good is the key to manifesting, right? Not living with guilt and shame, because that keeps my energy low and vibrating low. And in knowing that I curate my energy, I create my reality through curating my energy. And there's freedom in that, because anything that happens around me, somebody bashed the window out my car, like just a thief looking for things, that can't bring me down because I am joy. I am who I say I am. And so I can continue to create that, deal with the situation and move forward, right? That's freedom to me, to just enjoy life. And I experience heaven on earth now because I'm not worried about what's going to happen in the afterlife or whatever.
Yeah.
So that has been freeing. That's the freedom for me, knowing that I am one with God, I'm connected, and no one can define that for me, only
I
me.
like that because I think a lot of people are driven by fear, and I have done in the past. And I think, like you say, fearing. It was interesting what you said about fearing that you didn't want to go to hell, so you were like doing good things for the wrong reasons. But it's driven through fear, wasn't it? Anything that's driven through fear doesn't give you. It's that fight or flight thing, isn't it? As long as you know that within yourself your intent is good, it doesn't matter if we make mistakes. If we make mistakes the wrong way, it doesn't mean that we're a bad person. It's just because our intent is good. It's when our intent isn't good that we should be worried, because we should be questioning why we want to put pain in the world or to other people, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting thought that you came up with that, because I know that I ask everybody that question. Everybody always has to write it before the interview. And yours really stood out to me because you said something about dancing like no one is watching.
Oh yes.
And I love that, because I love that the whole singing in the car thing. You know, when a real ballad comes on the radio, like a girl power Whitney Houston song or something like that. That's showing my age, like the 80s, 90s. And I'll be singing it, and someone does see you at the traffic lights, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. I used to probably be a bit of shit, like, and stop what I was doing, whereas now just like go for it. And it reminded me of that like dancing like no one is watching, and you put something about not fearing the death really, and I wondered where that had come from, and now that makes sense with what you were saying, because fear just drives us in the wrong way, doesn't it?
It really does. And it doesn't send out the energy to the universe that you're ready for more, right? Because energy is the universal language. We can all speak different languages, but you can walk into a room and feel tension, right? You can feel the energy there. And so for me, I'm always in communication with God, with the universe, through my energy. So if I'm doing anything driven out of fear energy or guilt energy, then that is not going to attract more joy, more love, more abundance, right? And so even like you said, I'm glad you reminded me that I wrote that. Dancing like no one is watching is freedom, because we all stop ourselves out of fear of what someone else thinks.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I realized, hey, I am contagious. So when I'm at the light singing, someone else looks over and they want to be a part of that energy. They start smiling. They might, give you an air vibe, right? And when I'm at home dancing in my space, I become joy. So I'm not just saying it mindlessly. I am joy. I am joy. I am it. I'm feeling it. I'm releasing that energy. So I dance my gratitude. I become the praise. And that's a power that we all have, is to be the thing, right? Instead of begging God for it in your prayers all the time. If you want to attract love, be love. Love yourself, right? And then you'll attract it to you. If you want to be wealthy, look at your budget more. Unmanage what you have, build a wealth consciousness, feel rich already, and then you'll attract more opportunities to be wealthy to you.
I think it's difficult though, isn't it? I think like people listening to this as regards to, I know that I had to go through a bad time to awaken me to all of this stuff. And even though it's a bit like that teacher-pupil scenario, isn't it? Like sometimes even though what we're discussing makes sense to us, sometimes it doesn't. You can't be told these things, you have to feel it. But I think some of the stuff that you're doing is really helping people go through that transformation, because it's helping them be mindful on those different stages, which I think is really good. But you know, sometimes I do kind of feel like you need, because I used to be bothered what people thought about me. But I wasn't aware of it until I started not being bothered about what people thought of me. Then I realised I was. I used to say I wasn't bothered. Now, of course, if someone started sending me messages on Instagram, on Facebook that were really mean and quite scary, I would be bothered about it. But I would be able to say to myself, I'd be able to digest it and say, well, I don't know this person. They need help. They need love, because I know I'm not those things that they're saying to me. You know, like there's these crazy people in the world that there's a lot of kind of trolls all around on social media. So of course I would be bothered about that, but I'm not bothered about people who know me, what they think about me, or, you know, I suppose people who are not trolls, if that makes sense. I'm so comfortable in my own skin now, who I am. Whereas when I analyse the past, I probably wasn't. I was always trying to prove a point or prove myself, and it tended to be around those material things or jobs or this or that, you know. And it's quite interesting to me, because it was in 2013 that I first went and set up a business online, and people thought I was crazy. Like, what is this online thing you're doing? Whereas now, this last 12 months, all of those people are all doing things online because the pandemic has forced us to. So I've not actually vocalised that to friends, and it's just something I sit and think about myself, thinking all those people thought I was weird for doing this online business, and now actually all doing it. And that's just because the world has changed. But going through my hardship helped me really, because I wanted to be married, you know, I wanted to be married for the rest of my life. I'm married for life. So I found it really, really difficult, because I suppose I perceived people who were divorced as not being bad as such, but that they didn't work hard enough at the marriage. You know what I mean? So I was hanging on to this toxicity just because of that, because of those values and those beliefs that I had, which was actually causing me more damage, you know. So it's not until you go through something, and I feel that happened because I was judging people in my mind, if you know what I mean. Probably just like before I had children, I judged people, judged mothers. And, you know, and I remember being in the corporate world and mums worked part-time. I used to think they don't work as hard as us. And then when I became a mum and was working, I thought, actually, as mums work harder.
Yes.
we're trying to do more. We're trying to, especially if you're working for a company, providing, because you think that you're part-time or whatever, you've still got the similar outcomes, and you're always trying to prove yourself. So actually you do work like twice as hard. But it's interesting, all these things and perceptions and judgments and all this rubbish that goes on in your mind that really does hold you back, because you're not content with being you. That's what it comes back down to, doesn't it? It comes down to insecurity and not loving yourself. So I did love that. I always ask everybody that at the end of the interview, like, what does freedom mean to you? Because everybody has different opinions on that. But I loved the dancing like no one's watching, because I thought, yeah, that sums it up to me as well. Because I think if you do dance like no one is watching, or actually when you dance, everybody is watching you, and you've got the confidence to dance like that, then that is pure freedom, isn't it? In everything that you stand for, really, and that you're open to receive everything, really, and you're not coming from a place of fear.
Yeah, definitely. One thing sometimes you have to experience what you don't want to get clear about what you do want, right? And some experience also are to reveal our strengths. So even taking it back to when I got jumped at 9 years old, the lesson for me, one of the lessons was, I say yes, and I stand up in the face of intimidation.
Yeah.
And I actually can bring that in the present, where no one can intimidate me out of my message anymore. Right? So looking at, again, the lesson, what did the experience reveal about you? What are some of those limiting beliefs that you need to let go of? right?
Yeah.
So you don't end up back in that situation. What are some of the strengths about you that are revealed? And how, and you can make a list of those and take that with you into the future.
Definitely.
Yes. So whatever you're going through right now, you have the power, the wherewithal to rise up out of that and really realize that people are just projecting onto you. Compliments or negative opinions, they're all a projection of how they treat themselves.
Exactly.
Right? If someone can, it's easy for them to spew out nasty remarks and shady comments, is because they've been practicing in their own minds. And so one of the agreements that we go over is take nothing personally.
Yeah.
That is a gem throughout your life, how to stop worrying about what other people think. If I say something mean and nasty to you, that's how I feel about myself.
Exactly.
That's not your truth. Only you know your truth, right? If I say something loving and kind to you, that's how I feel about myself. So take nothing personally. I encourage everyone to pick up the 4 agreements, where number 1, be impeccable with your word. It talks about the power of the word and how people cast spells on each other with their negative opinions, right? Their self-doubt, taking nothing personally, realizing that everything that someone says to you is really a reflection of how they feel about themselves. That is not your truth. Never make assumptions. See, we assume, but the voices in our head that we name mom, dad, sister, they're all you. Be aware that the ego hides behind these voices that are your limiting beliefs about yourself. And then you have this problem with people outside of you because so-and-so would say this to me. That's your belief. So check your own beliefs. Where did that come from? Release it. And fill that space with a new affirmation, a new truth about yourself, and always do your best. See, in order to expect a blessing, you have to feel ready. You have to feel prepared, right? Because they say in the church, they teach you, God knows your heart. God's not going to give you anything you're not prepared for. So if in your heart you don't feel ready and God knows your heart, you're not going to get anything you're not ready for. So what do you really truly feel ready for? What have you been preparing yourself for? So when I wake up early, it's to prove to myself that I can be consistent, that I'm committed, right? And then I start to project an energy of readiness, and I start to get new opportunities and experiences that confirm the way that I feel about myself. So everything that you do it for yourself. Don't do it for show or to prove anything to anyone. Prove it to yourself so you can project a true energy and then attract what's for you according to your energy. That's the power right there.
Yeah, I like that. So what were those 4 things? Let's end on that. I like that. That was, don't assume. I think that was the second one.
Yeah, so be impeccable with your word, right?
Be impeccable with your word.
Say what you mean what you say, and come from a place of love.
Yeah, love that one.
Don't take anything personally. Everyone's projecting onto you. Don't internalize other people's energy. So one affirmation I like to say, I release all energy that is not mine.
Yeah.
Being aware of that. The third one is don't make assumptions. Ask questions, because any assumption you make is your own belief.
Yeah. I say that. I brought the assumption one up because I'm always saying that to people, because I think so many people make assumptions of everybody. It's usually their beliefs all the time, isn't it? They just assume because people are not open to other opinions or other thoughts or other paradigms type of thing.
I mean, even something as simple as, somebody didn't answer your phone call. They didn't answer my phone because they have a problem with me. They're doing this, they're doing that. You have no clue.
Yeah, they could just be cooking.
They could just be in a season where they need to be quiet. They need to go within, but we internalize everything as something's happening to us. It's our fault. We're being attacked, right? So don't make assumptions. And then the other one, the last one is always do your best.
Yeah, I like that.
You're really doing it for you. You're really trying to prove it to yourself so that you can have an energy, you can project an energy that you're ready for more. And your best looks different every day. So show grace to yourself. I like to say, mother yourself. That's how you show love to self. Grace, patience, kindness. When you hear those limiting beliefs, those fears, what would a kind, gentle mother say to those fears? Say it to yourself so that you can feel that it's okay to move forward, to keep going, that there's abundance on the other side of the unknown.
Yeah, love those. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Lenise. It's been great interviewing you. You've added so much value to everyone that's listening. Come and join the Freedom Project group as well if you want to. We can do some lives in there, and I will put your if there's any other links, let me know, send them to me. But for everybody listening, I'll put Lenise's Instagram details. That's the best place for people to get in touch with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got anything going on in Clubhouse? Do you have like a regular room or club or anything in there?
I'm going to be starting a regular room called Truth Radio. Yeah, just helping women. I help women to manifest perfect peace, perfect love, purpose. And so just helping you to get out of your own way, see those beliefs that's holding you back. So yeah, just follow me on Instagram. I like to take my time. I like to say, trust, don't rush, because the truth is always relevant. And so now, as this is coming to a close with the Focus Switch group, I'll be opening a new avenue where I can just give my all into one thing at a time instead of spreading myself thin. Yeah.
Cool, brilliant. Well, we'll put all your details on your Instagram, so anybody that has enjoyed this interview and loves the energy that you can feel off Lenise, because I know I always get a really good energy. Last time I spoke to you, I came off really, really on a high. We'll put all your details in the comments. So thank you ever so much for giving us your time and sharing all this powerful stuff with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My pleasure. I look forward to joining you again on those lives. I'm going to join that group.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, great. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.